Yeah. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever part of the world you're viewing this video. This is Yeye Princess Adibukumi Olukunwemide. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is nice to have you here. For my returning subscribers, welcome back and thank you for being faithful. Blessings of Eledua upon you. For new subscribers, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a channel where we'll talk about Eledua, God the Creator, and everything spiritual later. So you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Please, for those of us that have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please endeavor to click on the subscribe link below. Do endeavor to subscribe and share so that more people can be opportune to come across this video. Thank you very much. And also, I implore those of us that have not followed my other social media handles on TikTok and Instagram, so please do so. The name still remains Yeye Princess Ajibukumi. So my name is the same across all my social media handles. So thank you very much. So today, I just want to tell a story. Yes, it's a short story, but this story, for those of us that will be able to listen to this video to the very end, will be able to get the lessons behind the story that I am about to share. It is a story of my life, something that happened to me. For those of us that know me very well on YouTube or maybe TikTok, you will know that I am not in the habit of sharing some other person's story. Whatever I talk about, I always like talking about myself. I always like using myself as a yardstick when I'm trying to portray or talk about something. So the story today is also my story. So a few years ago here on YouTube, I shared my story where I talked about my journey into Isheshe, yes, how I made a 360 degrees turnaround from being a Christian to becoming an Orisha priestess. Yes, that story is here on my YouTube channel. For those of us that might have not come across that story, check my YouTube channel, my videos. It's there, my journey into Isheshe. So this story I want to be talking about, it's also taken from that story where I talked about my journey into Isheshe, but I did not elaborate on it enough. So um, it's going to be in part one and part two because the video is not going to be as long as I want it to be. So I'm going to be splitting it into two parts. Yeah, so I do crave your indulgence. I urge us to listen to the video down to the very end so we can get the lesson or the essence of the story that I want to be sharing. So that's it. So I remember those years ago when I was looking for uh, the purpose of my life, yes, where I was running up and down, where life was dealing with me, and then I was looking for answers to the questions that I had. So during that time, like I said in that other video where I talked about my journey into Isheshe, that I met a lady who happens to be my Iya Orisha right now. She's a very good woman. I can't stop thanking God for that woman, but I will keep her anonymous. Yes. So I met that lady during the time where I was looking for solution for my life, where I was running around looking for how to solve my life issue. So I met that lady. She's my Yarisha right now. So I remember then when I went for a consultation with her, so she told me things that some of the things she told me back then, I have heard of some of them before. I have heard about them before, even though I didn't really take them serious, or the person that told me those things didn't really explain as much as she did. Yeah, so and then she was the very first person that told me that I had a calling to be a priestess. Yes, she was the very first person that revealed to me that I had a call to be an Orisha priestess. I had a calling that I had to answer that calling and all that stuff. So I remember back then, the very first time she told me that, Princess, you have a calling, you are called to be a priestess. I doubted. Yes, I didn't believe her. No, I did not. And I didn't believe her for two reasons. And those two reasons are what I want to be talking about in this video. This video, which is a part one, and then the subsequent video that I'll be doing immediately after this video, which I'll be tagging part two. Yes, so the first reason I'll be sharing in this video as to why I doubted that I had a calling One. Then the second video, I'll be sharing my second reason why I doubted my calling back then. Because the truth is, I have come in contact with a lot of people that I see they are also having that kind of doubts about their calling right now that I had back then. A lot of people, when they go out for consultation or divination, and then they tell them that they have a calling to be a priest or a priestess or a worshiper of one deity or another, most people they doubt. Some people even go as far as running away and rejecting the call. So these are the reasons that made me to reject my call back then, that made me to doubt, which is also something that I believe is making a lot of people right now to doubt that they also have one calling or the other. So one, the very first reason that made me to doubt my Iya back then she was not yet my Yaorisha. She was just a priestess I went to do consultation with. But when she told me, she said, Princess, you have a calling to be an Olokun priestess. Not just Olokun priestess. You have Orishas on you. You have more than one Orisha. But your dominant Orisha happens to be Olokun. So back then, I doubted for, like I said earlier, for two reasons. Now, one of the reasons being that then, when she told me I had a calling to be an Orisha priestess, I wasn't convinced because personally, I didn't have the conviction that I had the calling, be it in the waking world, like in the physical world, or in my spirit world. What am I trying to say? Back then, when she told me that I had a calling to be an Orisha priestess, I doubted because I have never seen myself as one, whether in my waking world or in my dream world. I have never dreamt, or I have never dreamt and seen myself in my dream doing what I am doing right now. I mean, back then. That is one. Then I have never dreamt and had an encounter with any deity. Like, I've never dreamt and seen myself having an encounter with, let me say, Olokun, for example, back then. That is one. Then two, I have never pictured myself in the line of this work because judging from where I am coming from, I'm coming from, even though my dad back then was an Olorisha, he was an Orisha worshipper, but not in the line that I am in right now. My dad was not in line of worshiping Orisha in public. Yes, my dad was going to church, but at home he was an Orisha worshipper. He was a devoted worshipper of his gods because my dad was born to a father that was an that should I call an idol worshiper or a believer in the African gods and tradition. So back then, yes, my dad worshipped his gods and he believed in the African tradition, but he didn't do it openly. So when the priestess told me that I had a calling to be an Orisha priestess and it was going to be something that I would be known by, it's not something that I would do in the comfort of my house. It is not going to be a secret. It is going to be known by the world. And I was like, no, man, I can't do that. Because one, where did I get it from? My dad was not known publicly to be an Olorisha. My mom is a Christian. Nobody in my family lineage, as long as I know, I can remember, is into that kind of thing. So where am I getting it from? How come I am coming in contact with such a thing? Why will I have to live that kind of life? And again, I have never dreamt. I know that if I have a calling, this deity should visit me. They should appear to me, if not physically, which I know that is very rare, but they should appear to me via my dream. So I was not convinced. I was not convinced of the calling that this woman was telling me that I had because I didn't have the first hand encounter with whoever it is that was calling me to come and serve as a priestess. So a lot of people right now are in that same shoe. They're in denial of their calling because they don't have first-hand encounter, first-hand experience. Because nothing is going to convince you of your calling as much as when you are convinced, when you have an encounter that is convincing you that truly you have that calling.